You so much, and welcome to this March 16th board meeting with the Utah Inland Port Authority. I wish I could be with you in Duchesne County. And yeah, as Director Hart just mentioned, I just had surgery, kind of recovering at home with my leg elevated. But I believe we have a quorum now and are ready to begin the meeting. Welcome all those that are in Duchesne with us and all those that are on Zoom as well. Um, let's see. For the meeting record, we have the following board members in attendance. I see Jefferson Moss, Tyler Clancy. Um, let's see here. Someone may need to help me out. I know that Bill Wyatt is on. Do we have Senator Stevenson?
I think he'll be joining us. I think that's everybody, Jonathan.
Is that everyone for now? Okay, and I think okay, great. Well, terrific. Let's see here. Give me a second here. I'm changing, going between screens. Let's push the approval of minutes just a little later so that we can make sure to have enough of a quorum. Um, there will be a period of public comment that will begin at approximately 2:15 p.m. So, any in the room, if you'd like to make a comment, please hand a comment card to Diana Gardner. Diana, if you could raise your hand, let people know who you are, and then I guess raise your hand online if we will open it up to public comment on Zoom as well. So with that, Director Hart, how about I turn it over to you for director's report?
Right. That sounds great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to all of those who are joining us. Clearly, we did not set up enough chairs. So thank you for those who were able to come out to God's country here in Duchesne County. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I mean this genuinely, but anytime I get to be in the same room with Irene Hansen, my life is improved significantly. So to Irene and to all those who are joining us today, thank you. This is one of my favorite places to come when our family vacations in state. Maybe I shouldn't say this publicly. It's always up to this part of the world. We love it up here, from dinosaur museums to just everything that's happening and all the amazing recreation spots that are up here located in the eastern side of the state of Utah. So it is great to be with you. Commissioners, welcome. Senator Winterton, thank you for being here today as well. For all those elected officials who are with us, both in person and online, thank you for joining us. And to members of the general public as well, thank you for joining us for our meeting today. And I think we've got the seating situation figured out here in the room. So I'll just give a quick update before we jump into the business of the port. First and foremost, our most important item today is for the consideration and potential approval of the Black Gold project area. Thank you to all of those who have worked on this project. Just in setting the stage so that everyone kind of knows, that is the main course of our meeting today. That is our most important item. But we do have a few other matters of business that we'll talk about as well, as we just have the course of business for the board. One of the things that I'll just mention, we're coming right out of the legislative session, and Senator Winterton is going to say that's not an excuse, but I'm going to make this excuse anyway. We knew coming right out of this session that it might be a little bit difficult for some of our board members to get here in person, particularly those who have been involved with the legislative session. And so we have a number of people who are online with us today, but thank them and do recognize that the business of the port, getting this project area adopted, was of paramount importance to us. So we just wanted to make sure we got the meeting on the agenda and ready to go. So that being said, the executive director's report is that the port is stronger than it has ever been. We appreciate the legislature, the governor, and all those who we worked with over the last 60 days or so crafting legislation that will help us to fulfill our mission. The port is always going to be a creature of the state of Utah. We have the capability and tools that are given to us. We have the scope that is given to us. And so we appreciate working with the legislature to be able to craft the right legislation and statute. Some of those things had impact on us this year. We want to be a transparent organization. We want to make sure that we're using our financing tools, particularly tax differential, in ways that are going to benefit the public. And we hope that's one of the things that we can bring up here to Duchesne County. Ultimately, looking at their local vision, we do not ever want to superimpose or take away any of the tax dollars from this area. It all stays up here, which is important to note. It's reinvested into the project area. We have some other state funds that potentially we can bring to bear to help develop this area as well, in a way that we hope is what the local community wants. So we want to work hand in glove with the local community as we create this project area and to start to develop this out. We want to create economic growth. We want to lower tax burdens on your citizens while also creating good jobs and ensuring you do not have to export your kids. We want to create smart and good logistics networks that don't fully rely on the load or on the road. We know that is a big issue up here on Highway 40. We can find ways to get commodities out of this area smarter. We are all about that. And so we hope that we can be a value add to your communities as we adopt this project area and move forward. A couple items directly in the executive director's report. Let me just say, for the awareness of the public, whenever we do an agreement that doesn't quite meet the procurement requirements to come to our board, but is substantial nonetheless, we do just like to make the public aware of it. In the last 30 days, we have completed a contract in association with our Clean Ports grant. That was the largest environmental grant ever received by the state of Utah. We're helping to create cleaner air down in near to the Salt Lake City and the Union Pacific facility. We did award a contract this last month to SWCA for $150,000. Again, that doesn't meet the requirements of procurement to bring it to the board, but we do want to make the public aware of that. So with that being said, we're grateful for where the port is at today. We hope that we are in a place where we continue to help community leaders shape their respective communities. We feel like we are stronger than we ever have been, and we're excited for our main course of business today with the Black Gold Project area. And Mr. Chair, that is my report.
Great. Thank you very much. That was great. Let's turn it over to Ariane Gibson, CFO and Deputy Director of the Inland Port Authority, to present our quarterly budget report, please.
Great. Are those online able to see my shared screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what I have before you is the December quarterly financial statements for the Inland Port Authority. I just wanted to highlight a few things. Being that they're December and we're a fiscal year of June 30th, that we should be seeing around 50% of income and expenditures. The one thing I want to point out on this is you can see we're at about 13.34 on our revenues. That is because a majority of the revenues we receive are from property taxes, and those are not usually passed through to the port until around this time each year. And so we have been receiving regularly on the sales tax and then interest earnings and some of these other things throughout the year. But our bulk of what we receive is the property tax differential from the Northwest Quadrant, and then we'll have a couple other project areas coming online this year. And so you'll see those in future financial statements. The operating expenses, as I mentioned, should be at no more than 50% for the year, and you can see that they're at 28.51% for the year. We're kind of on target with our personnel, travel, and then some of these other line items that you see the percentages above just are due to where they were budgeted versus where we've expensed them since we transitioned from the state system last year, and we'll do kind of a cleanup of that as we get to the end of our fiscal year. So overall, we are doing really well when it comes to expenses versus revenues for the port for the 6-month period ending December 31st, 2025. Any questions?
I don't see any. Thank you. Are any online that I'm missing? Okay. Thank you, Ariane. Great report. We welcome Bryce Bird and Candace. Candace, is it Seneger from the Department of Environmental Quality. They'll share a presentation on air and water quality monitoring in the Northwest Quadrant. Bryce is the director of the Division of Air Quality, and Candace is the director of the Division of Water Resources. So we'll turn it to you.
Bryce, do you want to kick it off?
Sure.
Okay.
So again, Bryce Bird with the Division of Air Quality. Just a quick summary. I know we have just a few minutes on the agenda today. About 6 years ago now, legislation was passed that appropriated funding to establish air monitoring and water monitoring that Candace will talk about around the inland port area. And it was done kind of before the actual development started so that we get some baseline years before a lot of major activities and new emission sources moved into the area. And then follow that over time. And so what I have today to report is just a quick summary of some of the air monitoring activities on our side. Then I'll turn over to Candace for the water quality pieces. So we track a couple of things when it comes to the growth in the area. First is the emissions inventory. And so, as you know, when the inland port area was established, we already had some existing air quality regulated sources in the area. And so we've been able to track over time, again, as new companies and activities move into the area, those that become a source of emissions that we collect in our emissions inventory, kind of the point source, the smokestack industries are typically those sources. Then they go into our inventory database, and then we also look at things like road traffic as new roads are constructed and other changes in the area. So just quickly, I'll also mention, I didn't mention, we submitted a report to the governor's office. I think that's included in the materials, sorry, to the legislature from our department. I think that's included in the materials today, so you can follow through. The figures I'm referencing here are the figures for the air quality portion in our presentation. And of course, you can see more detail there. But just quickly again, the inventory of emission sources, these are what we typically would call a smokestack industry that would be regulated for their emissions by the Division of Air Quality. Then we track these emission sources are required to report their emissions to us. And so we collect those for different categories of pollution. And so just a quick summary, since we started this effort looking at 2017 to 2024, you can see that the emissions of oxides of nitrogen have actually gone down in the port area. This is because as new technology comes into place, as old heating systems are replaced at existing facilities, some of those have reduced emissions, or as new production lines in a manufacturing facility are put into place, they put in better technology to capture and control those emissions. So you can see that the trend for oxides of nitrogen, which is a precursor to both PM 2.5, the particulate pollution, as well as ozone, our summertime pollutant, are trending down within the port area. Next one is the volatile organic compounds. So these are paints and solvents typically that are used in manufacturing. Also link fueling emissions from motor vehicles or emissions from the vehicles themselves. And again, as more activity has happened in that area and as new sources have come into the area, we've seen a slight increase in the emissions from those volatile organic compounds within the inland port area. And then for fine particulate matter, so these are direct emissions of the fine particles that would collect during a winter inversion period, for instance. Again, there's been some increased activity, but then with those new activities since 2020, the trend is going down, again, as they're better captured and controlled. Finally, the actual funding that was provided by the legislature was to establish air monitors that would track activities. And also, we set those up to be downwind and upwind monitors. So typically, the wind patterns over the inland port area in Salt Lake City are kind of a northwest to southeast during the daytime, and then a southeast to northwest during the nighttime, as the lake and the canyons interact over the Salt Lake Valley. And so established one of the monitoring stations at the correctional facility. The second is what we call the Lake Park Monitor. It's at an elementary school in West Valley City. And then we've got other monitors here at the DEQ Technical Center, just east of the airport, the Rose Park monitor in a neighborhood just north of us, and then some of our existing monitors in Bountiful, and then the one in the central portion of Salt Lake City at the Hawthorne Elementary School. So these are again, listed in the report about where those monitors are and what they monitor. And then just a quick summary about the trends we're seeing. I think the initial thing that we can derive from the data is the inland port area to this point is acting just like the rest of the valley in that we see similar concentrations, similar ranges of concentrations that we monitor at the inland port area. And really they overlap well with the other monitors that I mentioned that are more located within either the neighborhood areas or more industrialized areas here in the Salt Lake Valley. And so we'll continue to watch those over time, continue to operate those monitors. These have also been helpful at capturing emissions from the Great Salt Lake as the lake is dried. And so we're also capturing some wind effects from the Great Salt Lake. So you can see, some days here in July. Actually, this is an interesting one. The actual highest value we saw was on July 4th. And that was at the neighborhood site there at Lake Park, and that's capturing the firework emissions from our great celebration on the 4th of July. So again, happy to answer any other questions, but that's a quick summary of the monitoring data so far and kind of the purpose and the future actions that we expect from that air monitoring study that's focused on the inland port area in Salt Lake. I'll also mention just for the Uinta Basin participants there in the meeting, we also operate monitors in the Uinta Basin. So we have one in downtown Roosevelt, one in downtown Vernal. And so if there's interest in those as well, those are all available at air.utah.gov on our website. All right, turn over to you, Candace.
Thanks, Bryce. And I'm really grateful to be here with you. I'm Candace Hosniger. And as of January, I'm the new director at the Division of Water Quality. So excited to be here with you. I have a previous commitment to head to St. George, and I'm on my way there. So I've asked Jim Harris to help me go over our water quality results. Jim, do you mind taking it over? Hopefully he's on and it's working. Jim, it looks like you're on.
Happening.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. Oh,
All right,
There we
there
go.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
We
Yep.
got you.
Okay, good. Sorry. I don't use Zoom. We use Google products at the state, so bear with me. So yeah, as Candace said, I'll be presenting on this. I've been working on this. I'm the Great Salt Lake Water Quality Coordinator for the Division of Water Quality, and I've been working on this project for a few years now. And let me make this bigger if I could. Okay. So as Bryce mentioned, we were directed. Our division was specifically directed to evaluate the potential water quality impacts to sensitive wetland areas around the Great Salt Lake, in part due to the public's concern about the development of the UIP. And so it presented us immediately. I want to focus a little bit on the challenges because unlike some of the information that Bryce presented, there's a lot of confounding aspects to this. We do not typically monitor stormwater specifically. What we monitor the impacts of stormwater through or the lack of through proper implementation of BMPs, and so through our compliance monitoring program, assuming that those controls, if properly installed, will benefit water quality. And then we don't have any standards developed for stormwater either, in terms of like we do for most of our surface waters. It's really difficult to tease out a small area like this within this larger, very well-developed urban area of Salt Lake County. And the connectivity of the sites that we wound up monitoring to receiving waters was unclear. The hydrology was complicated. And it's often very difficult to plan for stormwater monitoring because it's so random. And so I'll talk about how we address that. And then obviously, and this is no exception, A lot of our projects, we are limited with time and resources. We didn't have the benefit of before and after monitoring in the area. So we tried to kind of construct a design that allowed us to compare newly developing sites, old developed sites, and with sites that haven't been developed yet to see if there are differences between those different scenarios. And so that's what's shown in this map here with the new developed sites in the middle, older developed sites on the east side, and the underdeveloped sites, one being predominantly ag, and the other one is not active under any active development. And part of this project, we also looked at changes in impervious surface because that's the mechanism in our mind that might affect water quality impact. And so we worked with Salt Lake County and UGRC to develop some maps of mapping the over time. And you see in 2019, 2022, and 2024 images, it going from gradually white to pink, with white being undeveloped land, pervious surface area to impervious surface area in pink. So you see how quickly things developed in the area, and they fell in the catchments that we anticipated. What we didn't anticipate was that we set up these stations at each of these in the drainage catchments to collect water quality information. And what we did expect was that we would have greater runoff off of the impervious surface area of the developed and the newly developed areas. And that bears out in this table. You can see this is the number of total triggered events by our auto samplers that we had set to a certain parameter to collect a certain size storm, and then we composite that and then analyze the data. We didn't get so many triggered events in the reference and ag parcels, mainly due to the higher perviousness of those areas. So it confounded our ability, keep that in your pocket, it confounded our ability to do the comparisons we anticipated between the sites. So again, I kind of touched on a couple of these caveats. It's extremely challenging to interpret stormwater chemistry. You see different patterns from one year to the next, from one storm to the next, and that even at the same site, there's the results are very variable. But I'll go through a couple of things of the whys and what we saw for you and just give you some highlights. We were very interested in solids because that's the sediment bound pollutants are often bound to sediment, and that's typically what BMPs are focused on, controlling sediment, which can be harmful to aquatic life and their habitats. So we measure TSS, TDS being a measure of salts, which could be an impact from snow control and things like that. And then volatile solids with all the organic compounds that may be used in the construction, from industries, vehicles, etc. And that can cause problems. We've seen that in the Jordan River after major storms. We see crashes and dissolved oxygen and fish kills. So in general, one of the things we found was that the newly developed sites had lower TSS or sediment than the older developed sites, which was we found was interesting and possibly a result of the BMPs that were being put in place and more modern BMPs that might be being put in place on the new sites within the UIP. TDS was generally higher in the more developed sites, which isn't really that surprising, particularly in the spring. We saw some spikes from probably snow control, things like that. Metals, we're interested because of their toxicity. We were concerned that there were some legacy land uses in that area from an old landfill. Shallow groundwater is another suspected source of that. But we saw a couple of patterns associated with it as well. Highest in the older developed sites, with the newly developed sites and the reference sites being much lower. Again, could be from just legacy contamination at these older developed sites or shallow groundwater. also possibly that the newer developed sites and their control of TSS may have reduced metals as well. So again, difficult to tease out the details, but that kind of is a basic rundown of what we accomplished. We also tried to come up with some improvements to the program. I think it would be more meaningful to look at actual discharge measurements of the volume of flow from each of these sites to be able to tease out some of the differences from the intensity of the storm and the intensity of the runoff. So with that, I'll just offer that if there are, we're willing to share our data and what we've learned from this with anyone if they're interested in repeating this in other areas of the inland port. I think we got a lot of insight as to how to go about this and how not to. So
Thank you very much. Any questions for, oh, Victoria, welcome and please.
Hi, thank you. Can I ask, was there any level of collaboration with Salt Lake City Public Utilities? Some of the things that you said were unknown are things that I feel like I get regular reports on as a council person and potentially could have advanced your work in a much more efficient manner. And as someone who's like living on the shores there, having that many unknowns, while I appreciate your energy and work and on this, is still really daunting given the level of development that's happening as we speak.
yeah, we didn't collaborate with them on this. This was specifically just a monitoring. And Candace, I don't know if you can address or if you're aware of our stormwater's program's involvement. I'm not in the stormwater program, but their involvement with utilities. I know we do coordinate with them on many things. I'm just not involved with it personally. I've been mostly focused just on the monitoring component of this.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And that's a great question, Victoria. Happy to reach out to Salt Lake City. As I said, I'm fairly new here, but I think there is a lot of opportunity for coordination. That's a great suggestion.
Please let me know if I can help facilitate that. This seems like something that should like feels really urgent given the magnitude of the information you're trying to gather.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Well, Jim, Bryce, Candace, thank you so much for that report. We will move on. Stephen Smith, Utah Inland Port Authority Associate Vice President, will lead a presentation on the study of the preferred scenarios that will guide funding and development activities in the Northwest Quadrant. He'll be joined by Nicole McDermott, a consultant with WSP, who has been assisting in the process. Thank you, Stephen and Nicole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also want to mention that we also have online Debbie Lyons, the Director of Sustainability with Salt Lake City, who will also be joining us as we go through this. So let me just share my screen and we will get going. Okay, so that should be up and I hope everyone can see that. Again, we're pleased to provide another update on our preferred scenario study to the board. As a reminder, our preferred scenario study represents the second of two studies outlined in our interlocal cooperative agreement with Salt Lake City. And the initial study examined the baseline conditions within the Northwest Quadrant project area and the surrounding neighborhoods. And we presented the findings of the baseline study and preliminary recommendations to this board back in November of last year. Today, we'll be offering an overview of the preferred scenario study, wherein we have developed a set of recommendations designed to address opportunities identified in that baseline study, specifically to provide guidance on the use of Salt Lake City tax increment generated in the Northwest Quadrant project area, as well as some potential policy recommendations. So with that, I would like to turn the time over to Nicole, who will provide some additional context and background information on the preferred scenario study.
Thanks, Stephen. So as Stephen said, I just want to provide a little bit of an overview, kind of a reminder of what the study covered, the baseline findings, a quick overview of the baseline findings, and then how that relates to the preferred scenarios. So our study area for the baseline and the preferred is the jurisdictional land within Salt Lake City. So the broader Northwest Quadrant area also covers parts of northern West Valley City and Magna City, but this study was specifically focused on the area within Salt Lake City city limits. Next slide. So for the baseline study, we were really looking at existing conditions. So we were compiling existing data related to these topic areas. So environment, community and health, economic development, and transportation. So we were, as we presented a few months ago, looking at the data and that existed for all of these topics, and also doing a good bit of community engagement in order to understand how the communities, the impact of development on the community and the information that they may have related to these topic areas too. So really trying to get some on the ground research as well as compiling that existing data. And that all led us to a set of baseline findings. So if you go to the next slide, just quickly to show how the baseline findings connects to the preferred scenarios that Stephen will talk about later. So for each of these topic areas, we had a set of key findings, and then those related to certain opportunities. So for future investment, how could we connect to existing programs and opportunities that exist to support information that we collected during the baseline. And so from that, we've developed a set of preferred scenario investment and policy recommendations. So these include kind of immediate actions and longer term considerations in order to address those kind of key concerns and just potential for opportunities that the community or the data bared out through that baseline study. So on the next couple of slides, a lot of words on these slides. I won't read all of them, but just to really give you an idea of, again, the connection point through both of these studies. And so, for example, related to community and health, we really identified through the baseline study that people felt like there's a lack of community facilities, community amenities, and services in the Northwest Quadrant. And so how through future investment or policy recommendations can we change that with the preferred scenarios? So through the preferred scenarios, there's an opportunity for connecting with community organizations, with local colleges, in order to provide more of those community services and amenities that people have indicated they need and are lacking in the Northwest Quadrant. And then on the next slide, another series of examples. And these were slides similar to boards that we presented at open houses to the community in November. So an example, related to transportation is transit service. So we found that there's a lack of transit service in the area, especially for workforce, people getting to jobs at the times that they need to be there and not typical commuting hours. There's a lack of transit availability for people in the Northwest Quadrant. So there's an opportunity through the preferred scenario to invest in programs such as van pool or on-demand transit service that again can kind of relate to those baseline findings and help provide that service that we found was currently lacking. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Stephen to walk through these priority investments and future long-term considerations as well.
Thank you, Nicole. Before I dive into these, Debbie, I want to just give you a minute if you want to speak on just kind of the Salt Lake City portion of the participation here and any feedback you have on that.
Sure. Yeah, so my name's Debbie Lyons. I'm the Sustainability Director for Salt Lake City, and was fortunate enough to be asked by the mayor's office to work on this project with Stephen and Nicole. And so in my role, I worked with them. I met with them on a regular basis every other week, and we went through the process of identifying stakeholders, whether it was internal city departments and experts in the city, as well as community members and community groups that we have relationships with, and just advising on the community outreach portion of it. And I have to say, I was fortunate enough to be asked to do that because Stephen and Nicole did an excellent job, and I really I really commend them for their professionalism and their passion and their care for this study. So, and really took to heart all of the suggestions and requests that I had of them. And so, yeah, my role was basically identifying policy, city policy, and reiterating policy direction that I've received as a sustainability director, things that I've heard from community, to really help it shine through this study. And so as Stephen goes through some of these priority investments, they're probably not going to be surprising. These are things that we've seen and heard. And one thing that this study does is it puts it all into one big roadmap. And we have had a lot of really good conversations with community partners where a lot of the good work is going on to address some of these issues, and really putting it on paper on what those near-term and long-term opportunities are as we start to, or we continue the conversation about how the tax differential should be prioritized. So yeah, so that was my role in it. And again, it was exciting and fun to be part of it.
Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate that. And we really did appreciate the collaboration we had through the whole of this process, which, we started almost a year ago. So on the next few slides, and I'm going to run through these fairly quickly because I know we've got a lot to cover. In the board packet, we have included details on some of these recommendations, and the details will be included in the final report as well. So this is really just a high-level summary. But I do want to say, for the priorities that we've identified, we chose to focus on items that had a clear line to implementation. So we didn't want these to just be aspirational. We wanted them to have ways that we could immediately implement, plug into existing programs, and find immediate benefits to them. We spent the last several months researching and meeting with groups, including several departments at Salt Lake City, Salt Lake Community College, Salt Lake City School District, University Neighborhood Partners, Salt Lake County Health Department, Utah Transit Authority. I can name more, but we had a lot that we reached out to really understand what kind of programs were out there in the world that could be potentially funded and support the West Side community specifically. So with that, we also identified some long-term recommendations where existing conditions might not allow for immediate implementation, but we expect that there's going to be a need for effort and support down the road. So we kept those in the recommendations that could be later designated as priority if we needed to. So with this, I'll just run through these, but I really want to note the first two recommendations here were presented to the board back in January, and so they were added in anticipation of those being included in a future interlocal agreement as well. And that was providing tax differential support for wetland restoration in and around Northwest Quadrant, and then tax differential support for public safety. So those we've talked to this board about previously. In addition to that, we also are looking at recommendations to provide a portion of tax differential to support Salt Lake City's water usage assessment program. So we want to find ways to help support water conservation. There are existing programs out there that we feel like can help tie into that, and again, specific to development in that area. Using some of that funding for community organizations to help address some of the health-related disparities. Again, through our research, we found a number of those that are already out there that potentially could do that. Providing some funding towards educational partnerships for workforce training. Both Salt Lake City Community College and Salt Lake City School District have wonderful programs that would allow for workforce training, really for West Side residents to be able to be skilled up to take on the kind of jobs and employment opportunities we're building in the Northwest Quadrant. And then also looking at support for van pool or on-demand transit service. So while we help skill people up for those employment opportunities, we recognize that there's really a need for transit options to get to those jobs out there. There aren't a lot today, but we think that's a really important funding opportunity. Additionally, we identified several policy opportunities. Primarily right now, those come through how we could modify the property tax rebate incentive that Inland Port has, but also we had some recommendations for the city, things like improvements around water efficiency for interior processes or landscaping, looking at truck parking, also for sustainable building practices, implementing stormwater best management practices, going back to the previous presentation, as well as things around air cargo efficiency and continuing our partnership with Salt Lake City International Airport. And then for future considerations, we previously funded some efforts with TrainFo to help with the rail crossing. Our understanding is there's not immediate plans to expand that, but we do want to keep that in here in case those opportunities come up. And then ongoing support for the North Temple landfill and the remediation efforts there, really primarily to look at this as if we need it, if we have things come up that go beyond the contingency we have built for that. That we could potentially tap into these funds. So just to wrap up next steps here, we want to incorporate any feedback through this discussion. We're also meeting with Salt Lake City Council next week to provide an update on these studies. So we'll look at incorporating any feedback we get into the finalization and the final report, and then we'll look to publish that. Additionally, we are building out tracking opportunities for this. So how do we make sure that as we potentially give out funding, we see the results of that and we can regularly report that. And then lastly, I just want to say we want to continue the community engagement efforts that we started through this process. We built a lot of wonderful momentum through workshops, through being out at community engagement events through the last year. We want to continue those efforts and continue to provide regular updates and results on these studies and how we ultimately implement them. So with that, I'll wrap up. Thanks for your time. We'll take any questions you may have at this point.
Question, Victoria, do you have a question, or is that an old hand?
No, you know me, I've always got a question. Stephen, I want to thank you and your team. Every time we have a community event, I see you there before I show up and staying after I leave, and I really appreciate the positively assertive presence you all have in the West Side right now. I would like to add to that workforce piece, not just educational opportunities for my neighbors, but we as the poor are in charge of economic incentives. And I would like us to start creating a policy of reserving advanced economic incentives for those who make a reciprocal commitment to nurturing our workforce. The state is setting a starter home rate at $450,000, and that's still unattainable to someone who's making $20 an hour. We know that minimum wage legislation isn't likely, and honestly, it's not my preferred mechanism. No. So what we have to do is encourage the free market to increase the rates. And since we're giving out tax incentives, I have like a million ideas. I'm willing to come in and talk about this, but we need to work on wage stickiness, and we have some of the best carrots around to deal with this. So I would really like to see not just opportunities for us to educate my neighbors, but for my neighbors to be reimbursed for the necessary work that they're doing in a way that's commensurate to what it costs them to live proximate to that work. I am thankful for everything else that you're doing. I think it's great. That truck parking, we're going to count that. I need to see it move, but thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Well, that's why Could I make a quick comment?
Please, Senator Stevenson.
You know, Steve, you amaze me because you solve problems I didn't even know I'd created when we put this legislation together.
Well, thank you. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get into, but well, important we can pivot, right? So
well, some of us have a wonderful view of the big picture, but we're not very detail oriented. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, well, thank you, Stephen, Nicole, and Debbie. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Amy Brown Coffin. We'll provide information on the review of our of 4 policies, inland port policies. Amy.
Thank you. Today we'll be going over these 4 policies. These are for just the context about why we bring these policies to the public. We have a charge within one of our policies to have the board review these annually, and we can make recommendations on changes and updates. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't have a recommended updates. And of course, we can bring these to the board at any time in an open and public board meeting if it necessitates a change. One of our core policies is BP04. It's the project area and tax differential. It's really around how we create these project areas, the process of which we go through beyond and above the statute to bring these project area plans and budgets forward, as well as the use of tax differential and the applications as such. We've had a change that we wanted to make that we brought up in the last board meeting. We always take these to 2 board meetings before we implement them. And this is for amendments and to have approvals to allow for 1 board meeting approval rather than the 2. And this comports nicely with the statute, but it gives us the option to have a second board meeting prior to approval if we so choose. And we made a couple changes on just changing shall statements to may as we go forward with that. The next policy is up for its annual review is BP10, which is for record retention to comport with the government records with our GRAMA Act. We don't have any changes at this time. Of course, the legislative session just wrapped up, and we'll be bringing this in the next board meeting if we discern any notable changes that we need to implement. The third policy that we have up for review is BP12, which is the segregation of duties, really around how financial management and accounting. We've made some very minor changes that we'll be seeking the board's approval in the next board meeting in April, changing from the financial manager to the financial director for some of those responsibilities therein. Lastly, our 4th policy that we have, which is BP 17, is our wetlands policy. We've had this thoroughly reviewed by the board as well as other external DNR entities to ask if they wanted any additional changes, and we have not received any feedback at this time. So again, we're going to keep this with a recommendation to keep it in its current state by the board. I will open it up to the board if there's any questions or comments at this time about any of the 4 policies that we presented.
Are there any questions? I don't see any. Great. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Mark Nord, Inland Port Director of Real Estate Development. You'll give us we'll discuss a resolution relative to the development of the landfill site. Mark, take it away.
Maybe hopefully.
It's right out of Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to. Geez, every mic I use.
Mark, if you turn your volume down, it might help. Or off.
Oh, yeah. Just mute your computer.
We can hear you.
How's that?
Better.
I can't hear you, so I'll just assume that that's better. Yes. Okay, good enough. I appreciate it. Good afternoon, board members and all those in attendance. What you have playing before you, I thought I'd take this opportunity real quick because we don't have a ton of opportunities to update the board on the progress at the landfill. I thought this would take a quick little second to update you all on how much work has been happening at the landfill. Now, for those that don't know, we acquired this landfill from Salt Lake City early around February, March of last year. And we commissioned our very first shovel in June and started our remediation of the 760 acres. To date, we have remediated 777,000 cubic yards of household waste at the repository. So we're absolutely moving a ton of waste and getting this ground ready for development. What you have before you is a resolution that, as we submitted our preliminary plat to Salt Lake City, was required by the municipality in order for us to have Ben Hart act on behalf of the Utah Inland Port. It's simply a resolution stating that he has the authority to act on behalf of the agency in all matters of the real estate. So as we move forward with the preliminary plat, in order to receive municipal approval, they just needed to have documentation stating that Ben actually does indeed have that authority. So I want to open it up to if there's any questions, not only for the resolution, but also if there's any questions related to the Crossroads West. We're trying to steer clear from the landfill title, so we'd like to start to kind of use that term as we move forward. So if you start to hear me use Crossroads West, that is what we're referring to. So thank you.
Mark, can you tell us, so you mentioned, so let's see, total acreage again is like 770 plus.
7.
And you mentioned the volume that has been already remediated. Can you give us an idea of how much, what acreage that covers of that total land?
Yes, and I have to try and do a game here. In order to hear you, I have to turn on my volume and then I have to turn it off. So if there's a pause, just bear with me. So this first phase, as you recall, was a 160-acre phase. As we've been remediating that first phase of the 160 acres, we've been able to accumulate all of that 777,000 cubic yards into our temporary holding repository. It could be our permanent repository, but we're still navigating that as we develop the site and do some master site planning. But for now, that 160 acres we're expecting that to be fully remediated at the end of this year, which means per our remediation action plan with the DEQ, we'll have that 160 acres ready to go, start with the development process, and eventually be able to go out to market and recruit.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Victoria.
I just wanted to say thank you. This continues to be one of the coolest things that I unexpectedly got to be a part of when I run for office. And I just welcomed down a new co-counselor after this election and took her on a tour of District 1. And this remediation was one of the absolute highlights of District 1 and the cool things we're doing. So thank you for your work in protecting my neighbors and the state at large.
Thank you, Mark. Great report. Ben, we'll look to you to tell us about the agreement between the Utah Inland Port Authority and the Office of Energy Development, please.
All right, I'll invite Joe Finley to join us on camera as well. And so I'll introduce this and then turn it over to Joe, but we really appreciate the Department of Environmental Quality, and we do appreciate DEQ and also the Office of Energy Development, of which Joe is a part. And so we appreciate the opportunity to be able to partner with them on their energy zones. We feel like this is great for the state of Utah in terms of what these energy zones are. And we're happy to play a role in terms of administering and supporting their office as they oversee and lead this project. With that, Joe, I'll turn the time over to you.
Ben, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Like others, I am also on a Google setup, so I'm trying to navigate Zoom. Okay. I don't think, do I have the ability to present?
We can see your screen, Joe. Yeah.
Perfect. So like Ben said, my name is Joe Finley. I'm with the Office of Energy Development. I'm the Energy Council Policy Advisor. Just a little bit of background on what the Energy Council and the electrical energy development zones are. The Utah Energy Council was created last year in 2025 within OED, and it has the responsibility to facilitate the generation, transmission, and storage and related infrastructure for energy within the state. Again, this is a very forward-thinking energy development, not existing energy. As part of that same bill, energy development zones were created. Electrical energy development zones were created, and it gives the council the authority to create these electrical energy development zones for encouraging energy development. This year, HB 514 retained electrical energy development zones, and we've been in contact with Utah Inland Port Authority to really help us with the execution. So just what these electrical energy development zones do, they concentrate incentives. So counties and municipalities generally may not offer financial incentives for a baseload project unless it is inside a designated electrical energy development zone. That zone can only be created through the process of applying to the Energy Council. And what it does is it creates a property tax differential that any baseload development that is developed within an electrical energy development zone, then that creates a property tax differential, which goes into the Electrical Energy Development Investment Fund, which is then meant to help spur the continued development of electrical energy within the state. What we are hoping to do with the Inland Port Authority is a lot of the back end work. Inland Port Authority has a lot of expertise, especially in applications like Salesforce and other execution tools that the Energy Council is just too young, too new to have that experience. So we're kind of relying on the experience, the hard-earned experience of the Inland Port Authority to help the Energy Council with these electrical energy development zones. We're hoping that they can help us identify viable sites and applicants and work with Office of Energy Development to make sure that matters that are presented to the Energy Council for electrical energy development zones are ready when the council reviews them. Really gives this MOU is about adding, like I said, execution capacity around the council process, not changing anything to do with the electrical energy development zones, really just helping the Energy Council, the Office of Energy Development, execute this program. So kind of the life cycle of these electrical energy development zones, we do site identification, applicant screening, early outreach, and this is where this is really the first time Inland Port Authority would get involved. They would help us with the Salesforce application that we would be able to send to potential applicants, municipalities, counties. Then me and the Office of Energy Development would provide the support, the data gathering, local alignment with these counties and municipalities. So that when these electrical energy development zones are presented to the Energy Council, everything is ready to go and identified. So ultimately, we're planning on using the energy development zones to help spur Utah's next generation of energy within the state. And Inland Port Authority is going to, like I said, back in execution, Salesforce applications. And as a trade-off, the Inland Port Authority gains a defined role within these electrical energy development zones, some influence in implementation, and a 2% share of the ongoing tax differential revenues. The tax differential revenue will be split between the counties and municipalities and the Energy Council, and the Inland Port Authority would receive 2% of the Energy Council's portion as a trade-off for helping us on the execution and back-end support. With that is all for my presentation, and I am ready for any questions.
Are there any questions for the board? Ben, anything else you wanted to mention on that?
I thought Joe did an excellent job covering that. I don't have anything else to add.
Great. Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Ben. Next, we have the Inland Port Authority Financial Manager, Amy Chantalise. Amy, tell me if I'm saying
Yeah, Chantalise.
Chantalise.
Yeah.
You'll discuss an amended trigger resolutions for the board's consideration, please.
Yes, so I'm bringing three amended trigger resolutions to the board. We are amending them for Castle Country, Skyline Border, and Central Utah Agri Park. And we are just updating the tax year from 2025 to 2026 to be in line when we'll actually receive the tax differential. Is there any questions?
I don't see any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, Stephanie Pack, Utah Inland Port Authority Associate Vice President, has the next two items on the agenda. I understand first a proposed amendment to the 20 Wells project area in Tooele County, and then a tax sharing agreement within that project area. Stephanie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, board, and I am looking forward to presenting on the second amendment for the 20 Wells project area. I have representatives from the city of Grantsville joining virtually with us today. We have Michael Rozier and Bill Babe. We also have Eric Stromberg joining us from Tooele County to support this presentation. And I wanted to kick things off by discussing that this is a 155 acre amendment to the project area. It's located just off of SR 112 next to the Burt Brothers Motor Park in Grantsville City. The city has zoned this area for mixed use. And the city is looking to include industrial, commercial, and residential in this 155 acres. I wanted to turn some time over to Michael Rozier to speak a little bit about the desired outcomes for this project for the city.
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. Hello all. This project is pretty pivotal in some ways for Grantsville because it's one of our more areas where we're going to start getting higher density. It's a little outside of our nexus of where Grantsville is currently at. In talks with the county, it complements what they're doing because they've spent about $40 million or will be spending up to that in revitalizing the peak and areas around the Moorsport Parkway. The purchase of the Moorsport Parkway was actually just made by PV3. And so they're also talking about expansions of that area. And so having something like this to help fund that area and bring a lot of that industrial and that high density is what we're looking for, and that industrial use as well to complement that area. And so we're hoping that with this, the support of the port and the benefits that can bring, this project will come to fruition and bring a lot of jobs and value to Grantsville and the surrounding county.
Thank you so much, Michael. Wanted to mention that the final configuration of this development hasn't been determined at this time. The development will undergo some changes in terms of how much of each configuration will be included. And to that end, our partners at Tooele County have requested that we acknowledge and facilitate a future amendment to this area to amend out certain types of residential once the final build-out plan has been determined for this amendment. I wanted to offer an opportunity for County Councilman Eric Stromberg to make a comment. Larry, I believe he's in the participation area.
I think I see him in the attendees, Stephanie.
Yeah. Eric Stromberg. So Larry, if you can get him.
I'll have to confirm.
A mic.
I think he's in.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. No, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, board. Again, as Stephanie just was mentioning, that amendment to be able to look at those areas of residential, that was a big thing, a concern for us. So we really appreciate the conversation we had last week with Stephanie, with Michael, with the developers to just say, how do we adjust as needed once this plays out for the residential. Really looking forward to what this will do to our county, our valley, with the light industrial, with the retail, and really does change the focus of the valley instead of growing from the edges into the middle. If you're familiar with the Tooele Valley, this allows kind of that central location to be able to really build out what we're doing with the Peak Sports Complex, with what the racetrack's doing under new ownership, and excited to see what we can do. And again, as I said, appreciate the opportunity to come back in the future and look at that residential component.
Thank you so much, Councilman. The inclusion of the entirety of the 150 acres at this time will help us facilitate the kickoff of the infrastructure build out, as well as deploy critical financing tools in the short term to really create the impetus for this development. Our board should anticipate a carving out of specific acreage of this development in a future amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
Are there any questions? I don't see any. Thank you, Stephanie, Michael, Councilman Eric Stromberg. Appreciate you being with us. Okay, we'll move on to Danny Stewart, Associate Vice President.
Wait.
Oh,
I have one more item.
sorry. Go right ahead, Stephanie.
And this is in relation to Grantsville as well. So another development that we are supporting in Grantsville is the Lakeview Business Park developed. Oh, Jerry, do you have a comment before I start?
Just that I'm not asking a lot of questions because I was in the PID meeting last week and we've gone over a good part of this. So
Great.
That's why I'm my unusually quiet self. Thanks.
So we are working on a tax sharing agreement. This is a unique tax sharing agreement where the developer has opted to front the money for qualifying infrastructure for the development, and they are requesting a reimbursement from the tax differential generated by their development. And so I listed out the infrastructure that they're requesting reimbursement for. These are qualifying regional infrastructure elements that do qualify for a tax differential sharing component. And they are requesting 100% of the available differential up to 3.8 million to help finance that infrastructure that they've listed there. This would be about 69% of the total increment generated by the project area. And so this will allow the Romney Group to finance that horizontal infrastructure to kick off the project. This is going to be on the far west side of the Lakeview Business Park development. This will also be a mixed use development with residential and I believe a little bit of retail. And this will also help facilitate bringing out crucial infrastructure to the industrial areas to the east of this area. So that is the overview of the tax sharing agreement with the Romney Group. Any questions?
I don't see any.
I do have a question if I can.
Please.
I didn't get my hand up, but can you hear me?
We got you.
If you look at that and the infrastructure for the water infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, how far are we developing the close piece first and developing into it? Or are we developing the farthest away place first and then actually putting utilities past everything else? Am I making sense with that question?
Correct. My understanding is that we will be starting with the furthest west element that will be bringing infrastructure from the east to the west, kind of opening up that area in between and facilitating the build out of infrastructure in between.
Now, that's kind of what we got, we did at the prison, and we've ended up our front end infrastructure costs are a lot heavier doing it that way than they would be if you develop through or developed and sold parcels or put parcels on a tax roll before you develop clear through. I just I've been outthought on one of these. I don't want to be outthought on two. So
Well, we're grateful for the structure of these tools. The Romney Group is fronting the cost on these infrastructure upgrades, and are taking care of that financing on the front end.
Right.
This is a reimbursement model that really protects the port and our finances, to allow the Romney Group to develop as they see fit, as what fits the market demand for what they're trying to build. So we believe that this will be a benefit to their development, and this is what they're requesting.
Okay, I just wanted to ask the question. I'm fine with it. So, okay, thank you.
Good question. Stephanie, anything else?
That's everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all your work on that. Okay, now we'll hear from Danny Stewart. We'll discuss a proposed amendment to the Iron Springs project area and the business incentive under consideration in that project area. So Danny, we'll turn it to you.
All right, thank you very much. Are you able to see my shared screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm very excited to present these two agenda items for the Iron Springs project area in Iron County today. This first item is for Amendment 3 for the Iron Springs project area. This amendment is tied to an important project in Enoch, just north of Cedar City. It will facilitate a business incentive for a company that's been located there at seeking to increase its operations significantly there. So joining me today for this presentation, we have Enoch Mayor Jim Rushton and Enoch City Manager Ryan Robinson. I'll invite comments from them following my brief presentation. Enoch City has asked us to consider amending their research and industrial park zoned properties into the Iron Springs project area to support local business expansion and retention efforts and to aid in new business recruitment to the community. This amendment includes about 432 acres at the north end of Enoch on State Route 130 at its junction with the planned Cedar Valley Belt Route, which will connect these industrial areas and the Iron Springs area to Interstate 15. You can see these properties in this map in relation to the northern portion of Enoch City. This amendment also includes the current location of LS Electric MCM Engineering Facility, which is looking to expand their operations here, bringing new investment and new higher paying job opportunities to Iron County. A question? Sorry, I thought I heard someone weigh in there. This property is shown on the map just south of the larger area. So we've got this, most of the area is the industrial zoned property, and just south of that, you'll see about 32 acres, 16 of that is where this expansion will be. This amendment was presented to the Tax Differential Committee on March 9th, and it received a unanimous favorable recommendation. The UIPA staff recommends that the Utah Inland Port Authority Board moves to approve the proposed amendment to the Iron Springs Plan and Budget and project area boundaries. Mayor Ryan, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Not necessarily, Danny, but we appreciate this with the growth of MCM Engineering and LS Electric with their expansion to be a part of the Inland Authority, the Inland Port Authority, and take advantage of some of the benefits that come with that. So we appreciate that this is something that we can be involved in.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
No question, but I just want to say how pleased I am to see this investment into Enoch and Mayor. We're just thrilled for you. I'll just note a number of partners have kind of really come together along with the port, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, World Trade Center Utah, others, our Korea office in helping facilitate getting Ellis Electric. Making it a smooth investment for them. Just so happy to see the port just absolutely take hold of this and do such a wonderful job working with Enoch as memory serves, it's $150 million investment into Enoch, 50 high-paying jobs. I may have those numbers just off a little bit, but really exciting and a red tiff from GoEd.
So it sounds like by 2030, they'll have 250 new employees of qualified jobs. So that's pretty amazing.
250. Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. This has been such a great collaboration with our partners, with the City of Enoch, with GoEd, with World Trade Center. It's just been really an exciting project, and this will allow this expansion of this really important business in Enoch, and also the recruitment into these other areas which are not yet developed. So we're excited to see this. So let me move on to the next agenda item if there are no other questions. This is directly related to the Amendment 3 that we just discussed. This is the proposed business incentive for LS Electric, MCM Engineering, and Enoch. Joining us on this call today are Byron Black and Wan Hee Park of LS Electric. Byron will have some brief comments following my slide presentation. So we've been working with Enoch City and with LS Electric for the proposed expansion of their manufacturing facility in Enoch, just north of Cedar City. This business has been established for decades in Enoch, and it's now under the ownership of LS Electric. This is a global South Korean-owned leader in smart energy and automation technology. The proposed incentive would be for development on 16 acres of the lower block of industrial zone properties shown on this map. This is a strategic partnership for Enoch City, expanding this global technology leader in the city's industrial park. The incentive is contingent on successfully amending these parcels into the project area. The project is a proposed 5 to 7 year initiative with $168 million investment to expand the existing MCM Engineering Advanced Manufacturing campus by adding 3 new factories by 2030. LS Electric, as I mentioned, is a South Korean company that acquired MCM Engineering in 2022. They are a global leader in smart energy, automation, and electrical solutions, focusing on power transmission, industrial automation, smart grids, and renewable energy systems. This really is a perfect fit for the focus of the Iron Springs project area. This expansion will add 294,000 square foot addition to the manufacturing campus. And as the mayor mentioned, it will bring up to 250 new high-quality jobs to Iron County, significantly boosting the local employment base and the regional economy. Moving to the initiative proposal, we're recommending an annual property tax rebate of 30% of the inland port's percentage of new property tax differential. The initiative will begin post-completion of the phases of the development as they move in phases, and it is subject to early termination if the company ceases operation within the project area. The incentive is also contingent upon the approval of Amendment 3, as I mentioned, as well as completion of a contract agreement and final approval by the board. Byron, Juan, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'm Byron Black, COO of MCM Engineering, and we've been a proud partner of the Enoch community here in Southern Utah since 2009. And I'm just here to formally affirm the commitment of both MCM Engineering and our parent company, Ellis Electric, to the future of Southern Utah's advanced manufacturing and Utah's Operation Gigawatt. Our ongoing expansion and involves planned investment of 168 million US dollars to expand our facilities within the Iron Springs project area. This capital is earmarked for increased production capacity to manufacture advanced power distribution infrastructure, crucial infrastructure for Utah's goal of energy abundance and the growing demand of made in the USA products. Equally important, this initiative strengthens long-term economic stability for Iron County residents and the local business community. And this incentive will be the catalyst needed to move at the speed that the market demands. This program represents a wonderful public-private synergy that ensures a portion of the tax differentials are reinvested directly into building Utah's competitive edge, while still supporting the Enoch community. So we're thrilled to be here to ask for the board's support today by including MCM Engineering's location in the expansion areas of part of the Iron Springs project area. And with your partnership, MCM Engineering is ready to deliver.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Byron. Any questions from the board?
I see none.
All right, that's everything I have.
Thank you, Danny, and congratulations again. I think this just epitomizes what the Utah Inland Port Authority was built to do, and just really proud of that development in Enoch. Jenna Draper, Utah Inland Port Authority Associate Vice President, will present an amendment to the Ancient Sky project in San Juan County and a trigger resolution there. Jenna, turning it over to you.
I apologize. I am getting over a cold today, so I sound awesome. I'd like to present the First Amendment to the Ancient Sky project area. As many of you are aware, and painfully aware here in Duchesne County, San Juan County is lacking significant infrastructure and amenities to manage the growth that they are anticipating. We are working with both county and municipal officials, as well as the native tribes, to utilize the scant resources most effectively. This amendment will add some area up by the LaSalle, which is unincorporated San Juan County, and also in Blanding City. They're planning on putting some housing that is desperately needed for workforce in those areas, as well as some companies that are looking to expand and some new development that is happening. The area shown on the screen will add about 2,685 acres to Ancient Sky project area. This amendment was presented to the Tax Differential Committee on January 6, 2026, and received a unanimous favorable recommendation. A motion for the board's consideration will be presented at the end of this meeting for this amendment, since we are now doing one presentation cycles. This amendment also includes the Bear Center, which was presented to the board last meeting and approved by them. An incentive for the Bear Center, which is going to add about 6,500 square feet of commercial building space. They're going to be offering workspace options and other areas for entrepreneurs to start their businesses and grow their businesses before they can really afford to have their own buildings. And it's also going to have some workforce housing units. So San Juan County has asked us to do a 3-year incentive, just as a refresher, of 30% for that Bear Center starting next year it'll be triggered this year because they completed early 2026, and that incentive will start next year. Any questions from the board on the amendment or the proposed trigger resolution?
I don't see any. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. And then the main event, last item on the agenda, it's such as items on the fighter's card, will be the Black Gold project area final review of the project area plan and budget. I have Deb Heron here with me from Duchesne County, Andrew Eschler from Roosevelt City. They'll be giving some remarks here in the middle of the presentation. But since we have quite a few people here from the public, I did want to go over 30-second review of what a project area is and why it's going to be helpful for this community. When we create a project area, there is a need to effectuate a public purpose. There is a defined public benefit for the area. So we're not just creating these willy-nilly. We worked closely with these communities to put together a plan and budget that is available online for you to read if you would like to, and talked about specifically why we are creating these areas and how the Inland Port can help them achieve their objectives. This is nothing that Inland Port is forcing on them or taking over. They told us these are our goals, and we say, here's how we can help you achieve them. It is economically sound and feasible to adopt and carry out the project area plan, and carrying out the project area plan will promote the goals and objectives stated in subsection 1158-203 1, which is in our code and the reason the port was put together. This is how it works. So by creating this project area, we are freezing the tax revenues that are being collected on those parcels currently. So no tax revenue that is already flowing to all of your taxing entities is going to be collected by the port. Now, as these parcels develop and as we bring in new industry or current businesses expand, whatever kind of development the communities want, that's when we will see an increase in the tax revenue. 25% of that increase of the tax revenue will continue flowing to the taxing entity. So everybody gets an automatic 25% bonus of whatever is collected. And then the other 75% comes to the Inland Port. We retain 5% of that 75 for an admin fee that pays for me and these people here and the marketing and everything that's happening behind the scenes. And the rest of it has to be reinvested back into the community where it is collected. So even though Roosevelt and Duchesne are together in this project area, money that is collected in Roosevelt City has to be respent in Roosevelt City. Money that's collected in Duchesne County has to be respent in Duchesne County. Likewise for Salt Lake and San Juan and all of the other areas, wherever it's collected, it has to be respent unless these communities sign some sort of interlocal agreement. They're working on a project together. You know, there are some caveats, but it's only by direction of the community. So that's kind of your 30-second brief overview of how this works. I'm going to turn it over to Deb to tell us why they want us here.
Well, thank you, board members. I appreciate this opportunity to be able to speak to you. Duchesne County has long been powered by energy, agriculture, and hard work. Those industries remain vital to who we are. But as we look to the future, we also recognize the importance of building a more resilient and diversified economy. The creation of the Black Gold Utah Inland Port Authority project area is a strategic step toward that goal. First, this project area helps diversify our economy by expanding opportunities beyond traditional extractive industries. While energy production will remain important in the Uinta Basin, the Inland Port Framework allows us to intentionally recruit complementary industries such as logistics, manufacturing, warehousing, and information technologies. These sectors build on our existing strengths, our commodity production, available land, and regional freight activity, while creating new, high-quality jobs that provide long-term stability for local families. By broadening our economic base, we reduce vulnerability to market cycles and strengthen our overall economic resilience. Second, the Inland Port area significantly improves our ability to attract and compete for new businesses. Site selectors today are looking for more than just land. They want certainty, infrastructure readiness, and coordinated support. Through the Utah Inland Port Authority, this project area offers state-backed incentives, streamlined development processes, and access to specialized expertise in logistics and industrial development. Just as importantly, it signals that Duchesne County and Roosevelt City are aligned, prepared, and proactive partners for business investment. This coordination allows us to compete on a statewide and regional level rather than operating in isolation. Finally, the project area creates a powerful tool for developing critical infrastructure. One of the greatest barriers to rural economic growth is the cost of roads, utilities, broadband, and transportation improvements. The inland port model allows future tax growth generated within the project area to be reinvested directly back into the area for infrastructure. Things like highway improvements, utilities, power capacity, fiber, and even future rail or freight facilities. These investments don't just serve businesses, they improve safety, connectivity, and quality of life for residents as well. In closing, the Black Gold project area is not about changing who we are. It's about strengthening who we are. It gives Duchesne County the tools to diversify responsibly, attract new opportunity, and invest in the infrastructure needed for long-term prosperity. Most importantly, it positions our community to shape its own economic future rather than reacting to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sure. We have Drew Eschler, the Planning and Zoning Division Manager of Roosevelt City.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, Mayor Herron. Thank you for your consideration for this neck of Utah and for the Black and Gold area, project area. Duchesne County and Roosevelt City are the heart of Utah's energy economy. Duchesne County alone produces over 62% of all oil in the state of Utah, making it the largest oil producing county in the state. Today, the basin produces the majority, actually Duchesne County, roughly 95,000 barrels of oil per day, leading all counties in Utah. Oil and gas also provide hundreds of direct jobs. In fact, Duchesne County has the highest number of oil and gas extraction jobs in Utah, with more than 24% of the workforce directly employed in the industry, not including the many support, trucking, construction, and service jobs tied to the energy development. But as everyone in this room knows, energy communities experience boom and bust cycles. When production slows or oil prices drop, jobs disappear quickly, and our community feels it immediately. Local businesses in downtown Roosevelt and throughout Duchesne County struggle when workers leave and spending declines. This is why creating a project area with the Utah Inland Port Authority is so important. An inland port project area would help attract new industries such as manufacturing, commercial, logistics, energy services, and agriculture processing. These industries create year-round jobs that stabilize the local economy, even when oil markets fluctuate. More importantly, economic diversification brings new customers to our local businesses. More workers and new companies mean more people shopping, eating, and investing in downtown Roosevelt, helping restaurants, retail shops, and small businesses grow and survive. Infrastructure improvements tied to inland port developments such as transportation, logistic hubs, and industrial sites also make rural communities more competitive for business investments. The Uinta Basin has the workforce, resources, and industrial experience. A Utah Inland Port project area would allow us to build on our energy strength while creating a more stable, diversified economy that supports families, strengthens local businesses, and brings long-term health and growth to Roosevelt City and Duchesne County. Thank you for your consideration in providing this tool for us to grow our economy.
Thank you. Industries of focus and recruitment for this project area will be logistics, manufacturing, warehousing and distribution, energy production, and natural resources. We're not limited to these, but these are kind of the industries that these communities have decided to focus on in at the beginning. The Black Gold project area promotes following goals and objectives to be considered a UIPA project area: ABC, DEF, GHI, JKL, MNO, QR, and S. Staff recommends a resolution creating the Black Gold project area, which will be up for consideration later in this meeting. Any questions from the board? Okay.
Jenna, Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind me just interjecting for just a second. First, a huge thank you to Jenna for her work, to Deb, to Drew, all the teams that have been working on this project up over the last, what I'm going to call several years now. I remember my first conversations on this were probably more than 3 years ago now. So this has been a long time in the making. Thank you for the communities that have helped bring this to fruition. I really believe this is going to be one of our premier project areas, and I need to be careful about what I say in public. But what's going on up here, I think, is really telling. I love how the communities work together up here. This is a model for the rest of the state, really a rest of the nation. What we see here in terms of people being willing to put aside title, work together for the benefit of their community. We so appreciate the opportunity that we have to partner with you. And just before we go into public comment and then to the vote, I just want to give these communities our promise. We're going to be up here. We're going to be active. Everything you want us to be, we want to be. We want to be good stewards of your economic vision of the future generations of the Uinta Basin. And we believe hand in glove, we can create something really unique, really valuable, and really awesome for the future.
Thank you, Ben. And agreed. Great work, everyone. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Well, before we move on to public comment, we need to go back and approve the minutes from the January 13th board meeting. Can I get a motion from a board member to approve those minutes?
I would move that we approve the minutes from our last board meeting.
Thank you, Senator Stevenson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Terrific. We'll now open the general public comment portion of the meeting. Upon recognition by the chair, the speaker shall approach the board to make their comment if they're in person, or raise your hand if you're online. All comments shall be directed to the chair. Once your name is announced, you'll have 2 minutes each. In order to support a respectful meeting, items that disrupt the meeting, intimidate other participants, or cause safety concerns are not allowed and will not be tolerated. We will conclude the public comments portion of the meeting when all comments have been heard or after 15 minutes. So with that, do we have anyone in person? Perhaps we start there in Duchesne with comments.
Mr. Chair, we thought it may be well to start with those online. We do have a couple people that want to speak in person here, but we have 5 people online.
Okay. Great.
And we'll try and monitor to make sure we hear from Jeff Chug and Irene Hansen as well. Dita C is first online.
Okay, please proceed.
Dita put her hand down. I guess we can go to Brian Mensch next.
Okay. Yep, Brian.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we got you.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Brian Minch, president of Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment. I ask the board to vote no on Resolution 2026-08 MOU with Utah's Office of Energy. Chuck Ackerlow says the Tooele Valley UIPA project already has under development a data center requiring 500 megawatts of electricity. That's 1/8 of the consumption of the entire state, as much as used by 330,000 homes. He has stated publicly he plans to power that facility using on-site natural gas engines, requiring about 50 of those turbines running 24/7. Tooele County is part of the Wasatch Front Airshed, which is already in non-attainment status for ozone, and we just barely emerged from non-attainment status for the 24-hour PM 2.5 standard. We have warned for 8 years how UIPA's grand schemes would be catastrophic for Wasatch Front air quality, and we are seeing now for the first time on paper that those warnings have become completely validated. These gas turbines may be cleaner than diesel generators, but that doesn't mean they are anything close to clean. They emit carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, PM 2.5, nitrogen oxides, and VOCs, which are triple health hazards because they are toxic in and of themselves, but also precursors of both ozone and PM 2.5. An Elon Musk-owned data center in Memphis that is at present smaller than this Tooele data center has increased peak nitrogen oxide levels in the Memphis community 79% using gas turbines, and Memphis does not have winter inversions like we do. A Title V permit from DAQ almost certainly would be required for a gas plant this large. At the very least, UIPA approving this project is jumping the gun without settling that issue. This project embodies everything we have warned about, and I urge you to vote this resolution down. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Terry Durfee.
Schedule of tomorrow's meeting for you in case that helps. And I also just highlighted where you'll be speaking and kind of where the events are taking place. Yeah.
Terry, can you hear us? Oh, it looks like you're muted.
I was
There we go.
waiting for the prompt to get unmuted. My name is Terry Durfee, and I'm a lifelong resident of Twilla County. I'm here today to strongly oppose the continued expansion of inland port activities in our valley. As Brian mentioned, we are now learning that developer Charles Chuck Akalo is planning to build a massive data center campus in the Twilla Valley project area directly on and next to the wetlands of the Great Salt Lake. A full build out, this facility would consume about 500 megawatts of electricity. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, that's roughly 1/8 of Utah's current total electricity use. This is an astonishing amount of energy for a single private development. Because Rocky Mountain Power cannot provide that level of power, the developer proposes building an on-site power plant fueled by natural gas generators right in and next to sensitive wetlands. On top of that, there has been discussion about constructing a small modular nuclear reactor at this location. These proposals should alarm anyone who cares about the health of our air, water, wildlife, and communities. The wetlands surrounding the Great Salt Lake are not empty land waiting to be industrialized. They're one of the most important ecosystems in North America, supporting millions of migratory birds and providing critical environmental benefits to the entire region. What is even more troubling is the road through these wetlands has already been built to serve this project. Many residents knew it was happening, yet we have learned that even Ben Hart, the director of the Utah Inland Port Authority, reportedly wasn't aware that the road had been constructed. That should deeply concern this board and the public. If the agency overseeing these developments doesn't even know when roads are being built through wetlands, how can the public trust that impacts are being responsibly managed? Some of us remember hearing claims from Mr. Ackerlow that they would save the wetlands by building an expensive bridge over them. Instead, what was constructed appears to be a road only slightly more narrow than a standard road cutting directly through the wetlands. So let's be honest about where we are. The destruction has already begun. We must stop this project before it grows further, and we must prevent similar industrial developments from being pushed into other fragile landscapes across Utah. The Twilla Valley is not a sacrifice zone.
Terry, that's 2 minutes.
Thank you, Terry. We have time for 2 more online before we move to comments in the room. Joan Gregory, please go ahead. Let's see. Joan, can you hear us?
This is Rebecca Burrage. I was asked to unmute. Would
Oh,
you like me
okay.
to speak?
Rebecca, go right ahead.
All right. I'm commenting on Resolution 2026-08, which would authorize a memorandum of understanding with the Office of Energy Development to designate Utah Inland Port Authority project areas as electrical energy development zones. I'm asking the board to vote no, or at a minimum, to postpone these 3 problems until these 3 problems are addressed, which are: the first is the presence of a conflict of interest. Section 1D gives the Port Authority 2% of ongoing tax differential revenues from every energy zone created. You'd be voting to give this authority a direct financial stake in maximizing energy zone designations on the lands you govern. That conflict should be disclosed and resolved before any MOU is signed. The second problem is that there are no environmental guardrails. The resolution authorizes infrastructure planning, permitting, and financing for energy zones, but no requirement for wetlands review, air quality permitting, or water impact analysis. Tooele Valley and other project areas sit in or adjacent to Great Salt Lake wetlands in an ozone non-attainment airshed. A 5-year MOU with no environmental conditions in that context should not move forward. The third problem is that the public has no seat at the table. There's no environmental agency represented, no affected communities, and that is not an oversight group. But it is a choice this board can change today. Before you vote, I ask also which project areas are targeted for energy zone designation under this MOU. The public deserves that answer before you pass the resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Joan Gregory, last one online before we move to in-person comments. Please. Joan, just unmute. There you go.
Me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Today I'm speaking in utter disgust about the purchase by the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement of a warehouse in the UIPA area of the Northwest Quadrant. I am compelled to scream the obvious that we wouldn't be in this hard situation if UIPA had not built warehouses on top of wetlands in this area. What is UIPA's role in this? Senator Stevenson, I wish you all the best for your retirement, but is this what you want for your legacy to be? Ben, I'm going to do something radical. You already think I'm radical, so I don't think it will ruin my reputation with you. I'm going to ask you to join us. Join us in this fight against warehousing people, families, and children. It's okay to reevaluate what you're doing, to open your eyes and look at what is happening here, to change your mind. It takes courage to take a step like that. Show us your courage. Tell us who is doing this. Is it you? And if you have a hand in this, get out of this now and reveal the truth. Share what you know and find out what is not being revealed. Let's stop this from happening in our beloved state of Utah. Reveal your role so far, and then start working to end this cruel plan right now, please.
Thank you, Joan. We'll now move to comments in the room in Duchesne. And I might need
Mr.
some
Chair,
help.
we will first go to Jeff Chug and then Irene Hansen.
Great. Jeff, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board members. It's an honor to be with you today. We're grateful for, especially for those of you who made the trip out to see the most beautiful country and the most wonderful citizens in the state of Utah. You know, it's amazing in this year that we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country to appreciate what grew our country and its energy development and its capitalism and it's people willing to invest in our communities that have made us so great, that have provided jobs for those who've gone before us and helped us to gain a better life. We believe in Duchesne County that this project will be a continuation of that legacy. And for a long time, as has been mentioned, we've struggled with being able to diversify. One of the not promises that I made campaigning last year was that this was some area that I would like to see us address better. And I think this project area will do that. We're familiar with some of the proposals that are intended for these project areas and are certain that they will be of great benefit. So we thank you for your time and your consideration and respectfully ask you to give this strong approval.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. The great Irene Hansen next.
Well, actually, I was replaced by the great Jeff Chug, so how lucky am I? Is it okay if I begin? First of all, my name is Irene Hansen, and while I'm speaking as a private citizen today, I live in Roosevelt. But I am going to relay back to some of my previous work in economic development and as an elected official. First of all, I'm a raving fan of Utah. Raving fan. And how could you not be today when we sat through these amazing presentations almost from every corner of the state of Utah? Congratulations to the board. Congratulations to the staff, to the elected officials, the amazing legislators, the people that envisioned leveling the playing field in Utah so that for the first time in my 30-year career, we have an opportunity to use some of the tools that have been used to make Utah great. And also to make it to where your children can stay. You have additional wealth and prosperity, opportunities for good paying jobs. And that is something that we believe we can achieve through the possibilities that this inland port, the Black Gold project area will can come to fruition. You know, I see other people in this room that have worked side by side with me, not quite as long as 30 years, but many of them over the last many years that have worked side by side with me to diversify our economy. We are much like those areas. I could even very much, as they were talking about the Northwest quadrant, we're the Northeast quadrant. And but very much everybody loves their communities. We want good things. We want amenities. We want safety and all the things. And it's amazing how much we're alike. With that, thank you to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene. And Mr. Chair, last but not least, Edward Jason Woodruff.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Jason Woodruff. I'm with Waukee Resources. I'm a licensee of Green Fuels Operating. We've been understanding the significance of the future in the Uinta Basin as we've been discussing that with state and federal level people at the highest levels of both the economic future of both rural cities and counties, but also the state as a whole in energy security for the entire nation as a whole. We have been diligently exploring options for multiple facilities in the basin to support and plan for anticipated future growth, which has and will be sustained at between 13 and 25% in the oil and gas sector over the next decade. Once the transportation bottleneck is solved through the Uinta Railway, I-40 Pass, transloading expansion, and robust investment in infrastructure that only the inland port can help solve, but the time is now, politically and economically necessary. But if we don't do, we are missing the opportunity unheard of over 50 years, including the Uinta rail line and future facilities like my own, which would represent and will be the first time in over 50 years that any kind of thing has happened in our entire country at that scale. And that's why I support what you guys are doing. I've had a long conversation 2 weeks ago with Mrs. Henshaw regarding we're trying to do the same similar things in Wyoming, understanding plan in Idaho, in Wyoming, it's in improvement service districts, not a PID or the inland port. It's very important. People don't understand the economics, especially for entrepreneurial people trying to get in and work projects and do things. What capitalism stacks against us is almost impossible, and for the first time it is. But it's only helped when it's a public-private partnership with the inland authority. And so I highly recommend everybody supports this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else in the room?
I think that's everyone, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for each of those thoughtful comments. We appreciate you taking the time to share them with us. That concludes the public comment portion. We'll now move to our first action, which is the approval of Board Policy 4, project area and tax differential that Amy explained to us. Is there a member of the board that would make a motion to approve this policy as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I would second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion passes. Now to resolution 2026-07, Landfill Development Authority. Ben, will you please read the resolution title for the record?
Yes, I will. Mr. Chair, could I just take 1 minute as well? I know we have several people who have been online and have been waiting for a statement from the board on this. We were not going to talk about this in the meeting, but I do want to talk about what Joan asked about, which was if the board knew anything about the new facility in Salt Lake City. Let me just quickly respond to that because I know there are some interested parties. I was not going to say it, but Joan, since you asked, I will respond. We had no collaboration, coordination, facilitation, or even awareness of that facility before it was announced last week. So just to be clear, the port had no role in that new facility at all. We will just put that to rest. Make sure everyone understands that conclusively. And with that, Mr. Chair, let me just read Resolution 2026-07. Which is a resolution granting authority to executive director as authorized agent.
Thank you. And thanks for clarifying that point as well. Will somebody make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-07, please?
Yes, this is Jerry. I would make a motion to adopt 2026-07.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Next resolution 2026-08, the MOU with the Office of Energy Development. Ben, will you please read that title?
Yes, it is resolution 2026-08, a resolution granting authority to executive director to enter into agreement with the Office of Energy Development.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to adopt resolution 2026-08, please?
I'll make that motion.
And do we have a second?
And I would second that motion.
All in favor of the motion to adopt this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Now we have 3 amended trigger resolutions. We'll start with resolution 2026-09, trigger for Castle Country project area. Ben, would you please read that title?
Yes, resolution 2026-09, amended trigger resolution for Castle Country project.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to adopt that resolution 2026-09, please?
I'll make the motion.
And do we have a second?
And I would second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion to adopt the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Resolution 2026-10, trigger for Skyline Corridor project area. Ben, please read that one as well.
Yes, resolution number 2026-10, amended trigger resolution for Skyline Corridor project area.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to adopt resolution 2026-10?
Yeah, I would move. This is Jerry.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of this motion, the motion to adopt this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Next is resolution 2026-11, trigger for Central Utah Agri-Park project area. And Ben, will you please read that resolution title?
Yes, resolution number 2026-11, amended trigger resolution for Central Utah Agri-Park, Nortonville Zone.
Thank you. And can we get a motion to adopt resolution 2026-11?
So moved.
Thank you, Jerry. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Next resolution is 2026-12, the amendment to the 20 Wells project area. Ben, would you please read that one as well?
Yes, resolution 2026-12, a resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board adopting amendments to the 20 Wells Inland Port Project Area Plan.
Thank you. And will someone make a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-12?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
And I would second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That motion carries. Next is Resolution 2026-13, the tax sharing agreement in the 20 Wells project area. Ben, please read that one as well.
Yes, Resolution 2026-13, adopting the interlocal tax sharing agreement with the Romney Group.
Okay, can we get a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-13?
I would move that we adopt that resolution.
Second.
Okay, and second, great. All in favor of that motion to adopt the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? That carries. Next is Resolution 2026-15, Iron Springs Project Area Amendment 3. And Ben, would you please read that for the record?
Resolution 2026-15, resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board adopting amendments to the Iron Springs Inland Port Project Area Plan.
Thank you. And can we get a motion to adopt 2026-15, please?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
And I would second that motion.
All in favor of the motion to adopt resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion carries as well. Okay, let's see. The next item is consideration of the business incentive for Ellis Electric MCM Engineering in Iron County. I would be happy to make that motion to approve the incentive for Ellis Electric MCM Engineering. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
Hey, Mr. Chair, could we read that motion in real quick?
Please.
It is the Utah Inland Port Authority Board approves LS Electric MCM Engineering and annual project area incentive property tax differential rebate equivalent to 30% of the Utah Inland Port Authority's percentage of tax differential post completion of the development. This rebate will be provided yearly for no more than 25 years, provided continued operation within the project area during that time. Incentive approval is subject to completion of the contract agreement.
Thank you for keeping us straight. I will move to make that motion to approve the incentive for Ellis Electric and MCM Engineering. Do we have a second again?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Now to Resolution 2026-16, the amendment to the Ancient Sky Project Area. Ben, please read that for the record.
Resolution 2026-16, a resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board adopting amendments to the Ancient Sky Inland Port Project Area Plan.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I would
I'll make
to adopt the resolution.
Thank you. And a second for 2026-16?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. Next resolution is 2026-17, the Ancient Sky Trigger Resolution. Ben, please read that one to the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll just note this one is an amended resolution, so I'm going to amend the current resolution in hopes that the board will adopt it. We accidentally put Ancient Sky when it should have been Skyline Corridor.
Thank you.
We should have put Skyline Corridor when we accidentally put Ancient Sky. Thank you, Amy. So I'm going to read this, and Amy, our compliance director, is good at what she does, so she's going to tell me if I read this in right. Resolution number 2026-17, trigger resolution for Skyline Corridor project area.
It should be for Ancient Sky. We're just correcting the second whereas statement to be read as the creation of Ancient Sky, not Sky.
Okay.
So Mr. Chair, let me surmise that just real quickly. In the second line down, in the second whereas statement, it says the Utah Inland Port Authority Board created the Skyline Corridor project area. It should say the Ancient Sky Corridor project area. So with that amendment, If the board is open to it, it is resolution number 2026-17, trigger resolution for Ancient Sky project area.
Thank you. That makes sense. And can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2026-17, please?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
And I would second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. That carries. And finally, resolution 2026-18, the creation of the Black Gold project area. Ben, will you please read that one into the record?
Yes, and finally we made it. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around for what has been a very long meeting. But the reason we're here, resolution 2026-18, a resolution of the Utah Inland Port Authority Board adopting the Black Gold Inland Port Project Area Plan.
Thank you. And will someone make a motion to adopt that resolution, please?
I would make that motion.
Thank you, Jerry. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion to adopt resolution 2026-18, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Wonderful. That carries. All right. We are now ready to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn this board meeting?
Motion adjourned.
Thank you. And all in favor, say aye.
What if you don't want to adjourn and only? Aye.
You can vote no.
And hey, thank you so much to the wonderful people in Duchesne County for hosting today. We appreciate you are excited for the growth of your county and counties across this great state of Utah. And thanks to all the board members for participating. Really appreciate your time and being here. And of course, thank you to Director Hart and his fantastic team at the Utah Inland Port Authority for the work day in and day out that they're doing for our state, for companies across the state, for our economy, for citizens. We're just so appreciative. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.